these are pretty ugly right now. So the first thing I have to do is I have to sand these. I can't do anything to them until I sand them. Once I sand them, I can let them cool because the temperature is a huge deal. They expand and contract a lot. A little heat will change your tuning a lot. But so I've got to sand them, clean them up. Then once they're sanded on all, well, actually 4 sides, the ends I'm not going to worry about because they're probably going to get cut. It's usually what happens. Anyway, that's what I have to do to these, just to prep these to be able to start tuning them. Look a little better, look a lot better. So, alright, step 1, now I have to let them cool. I could set them outside, I could put them on the floor, that's cool. I'll just stretch them out after I'll let them cool. Then I can start tuning them. The bars are cooled down to the surrounding environment. Bar tuning 101 is now in session. So I'm hitting this bar. You're not hearing it very much because there's no resonator. Where these holes are drilled are it's what's called the node. That's where that bar is not really moving. However, this end of the bar is moving and the middle's moving. You can hear that. So, is that cool or what? Yeah, that's a good one. Let's see if I can do that. Anyway, point of it is, so to tune the bar, let's get an idea. And I get these rough. What are we looking at? Okay, we're 11 cents flat. So the way to do this, if I want to sharpen the bar, I actually have to shorten the bar. The only places that I can shorten it, of course, are yeah, I'm actually going to shorten it in the middle. Yeah. So I'll shorten the bar a tiny bit, which means I'm going to cut just tiny little pieces off the end of the bar, and then we'll check this again. So I took just the tiniest amount off, and it'll probably now be flat. I'd rather be a little flat. I'm still a little sharp. Oh no, that's right. Yeah, that's where I want it to be. I want it to be sharp, and I'll show you why. Apparently, if a bar is within 4 cents of tune, that's considered to be in tune. I don't particularly like that. So I try to get it within half a cent of tune, knowing that the temperature change is going to, temperature's going to change it. So anyway, I try to get it within half of a cent. And to do so, when we're that close, I have to come, I need to clean these ends up so they're not dangerous. So I have to keep in mind that I'm finishing and tuning at the same time to a certain degree. So if I do too much of that, I'll heat the bar up and then the bar will go flat. So that isn't bad. The bar went a little bit sharper. It went to about 3. If I had my druthers, all the bars would start out just a little bit sharp, and then I would flatten them because they're easier to flatten than they are to sharpen. Because to flatten them, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out in the middle where this bar vibrates the most, where the leverage is the least, I guess you could say, or where the leverage is the most, depending on how you're looking at it. I'll take a little tiny bit out of that on my belt sander, and I should be able to drop it. Now, I've got to be careful because I just changed this belt, and look at that. That is serious. So I got to be really careful not to go too far, or might have an issue here. And it's at this point too that I've got to decide which side I like, because once I once I do my tuning divot, this is the side that goes in. I'm going to call that the side I want to do my tune in. So you can see I really barely touched that, and it's because I'm chicken. I'll probably need to touch it up a little bit more. Let's see. 2 cents. Okay. So that dropped at 1 cent. So we'll do this again, very carefully. So let's do this. Plus 0.5. Nice. All right. You know, the heat can have the effect of making it flat. Plus 0.5. You know, I'm going to go ahead and give it one more little shot here. Every time I do that, I sort of spread just a little bit my divot. I guess I could call that a divot. Why? I just think it looks good. Okay, I'm negative 0.5. Now I don't mind being negative 0.5. And I'll probably try to hit it right on 0, but like I said, if I'm within half of a cent, I'm happy with that. But I'm going to tune these about 3 times. Now this got the ends sanded. Well, it got the ends cut, the ends sanded, and then I did I did a few mechanical processes to it. So there's probably just a little bit of heat in here. I want to let it set and cool before I do anything else with it. That way, it has a chance to go back to room temperature, and I'm not chasing a bad tuning. You know, if I put a lot of heat into it, the bar will go flat. It will get larger. You know, it gets longer. It will go flat. When it goes flat, then anything that I do to it, or when it is hotter than it should be, anything I do to it will be false. So I just waste my time. So I do that. I let it set. That's the way to do it. And that's, by the way, this is a real simple tuning. With a different kind of an instrument, the tuning would be quite a bit more complicated. You know, we're really, this is actually real simple. So, you know, if you're building a marimba, you go through quite a bit more elaborate tuning. But you tune it. It's complicated, but you tune the harmonics more than we're doing here. I'm not tuning the harmonics. I'm just tuning the fundamental, the lowest note this bar can make. You know, that's what I'm tuning. All right, so it's afternoon. Almonds, smoked almonds, yummy. So okay, so we're perfect. Anyway, we're good to go. I'll mark the resonator, which is this tube right here. In fact, I've got my resonator tubes sitting there in a line. And you know, I think I'm just going to go ahead and mark them right now and then cut them all at once. That way I can put my ugly shirt on. You know, that way I'm keeping that material from getting on me. Looks like we have got some tubes cut and have some extras. These extras, or the extra length is longer than it would usually have been. That's due to the retuning. Okay, when I started this, I made some initial measurements. And so, to double check myself, so my first measurement that I made was, I did a perpendicular measurement, and it's like 39 and 3/32. So then I marked out my starting point, which is that little mark right there. That's basically 3/4 of a 1/16 of an inch, you know, just measuring it on the ruler. I came over here and I did the same thing. Where's my mark? Anyway, I did the same thing. I marked a tiny little spot here, and that was my first mark. Notice there's a mark here and a mark here. This mark was pulled from this side. This mark was pulled from that side, and we're right on the money. So anyway, that's really, really an awesome thing to see. This is a drill bushing, and it's set for I think it's an F, a letter F size drill bit. It's a drill bit to use for a 1/4 hole, or one of the drill bits, basically this. So the drill is pretty small. Anyway, what I've got is the drill bushing put in a piece of 1/4 inch. There's a 1/4 of an inch sticking out of the bottom of it. Then I have these holes are 9/16 holes. So I found a piece of brass, this bushing, which looks kind of funny from this side, but it's just a threaded insert. So it fits in the hole, and it allows me to drill a really damn accurate hole. And I have some tolerance, but not a lot. I want these to be right. I want them to set parallel. So I finished these holes. Anyway, the point of what I'm doing is that I've got this extent. The resonators overhang this bottom bar by about 1/8 of an inch down here, but they overhang by about 1/2 of an inch down here. But the bar itself overhangs by about 1 1/8 here, and by about 1/2 of an inch here. So to get all my geometry right, I had to get all that worked out. I had to get all my layout marks done. I'm putting in my first 2 bars. So I'll put, once I get this bar installed, and I'm going to tap that and go ahead and bolt it down. I'm going to drill this hole next. I'll put this bar in, and I'll put this bar in. But what I'll do is I'll have a reference level on the bottom of these 2 bars. And by the way, this is the lowest point of the bars, and so this is a level line. Everything is all cockeyed, but the bottom of these bars are level. So that's just kind of the way that it goes together. It's a little bit complicated. Just have to take it a step at a time. So anyway, that's what I'm doing, and I'm taking it a step at a time to get my layout marks right. Now, when I'm done with all of my drilling, I'm still going to have to make sure that I get my resonators put in properly, but that'll be 1/2 of an inch overhang to 1/8 of an inch overhang. So anyway, there's the big measurement thing going on. So the drill bushing in place, and you can look down here and you can see that mark. And as long as I'm careful with the drill, so as you can see, I have said that this is my level. It's actually not my level. This is just my bottom slope. It's about probably 3/4 of an inch out of level. This gives me my mark where I want all the bottoms of my bars to be, which gives me from a 1/2 inch overhang to I believe, 1 1/8 inch overhang. So So anyway, that's what I've done all the measurements to get to this point. So I'll go ahead now and lay out all the rest of the bars. I'll drill all my bottom holes on the bottom. I'll only drill the top hole here and the top hole here. That way, if during welding this expands, changes any, my holes won't be messed up. By the way, that's probably about 150 years old, and it's made. You carry it in the carriage, and when you park your carriage, you set this down on the ground and you tie your horse's reins to it, and it keeps them from running off. Good morning. Snowed again. Windy, really windy last night, and then snowed 3 or 4 inches, but it's warm enough. We're late. We're in late winter. This is March 5th, March 6th. Yeah, March 6th. So the sun is out, and the sun is pretty intense up here. All of my resonator tubes have been indexed and marked where they need to go. That's going to help considerably when I put these together. This takes so much more heat than this does. It's so easy to just, blow a hole in the bottom of that tube. Now keep in mind, that's hot as hell. That's now expanding. That's actually good just like that. Interesting. So you see how I flow back over it. I got that one a little hot. I started to get some dirt into it. But if you look at the tip, you can see it's basically got that hemisphere shape anyway. So why not just leave it at the hemisphere shape that it wants to be at? Oh, and another thing too. I check all my lines. I've got scribe marks and pen marks. I've marked all my tubes. But I'll also go through with my little ruler, which I've got right here, and I'll just take a look at how they look parallel. Really the best I can do by hand, but it seems to be working pretty good. Oh, by the way, you notice, or you might have noticed that I improved my clamp. Looking pretty good. Oh, there's a giant blob on there. I actually had to grind that back down and re-weld it. But these are the only places that this tube is held, and I think they're just fine. My tolerances stayed really good. I think that everything stayed where it should, and that the welds were pretty damn good. So I was using quite a bit of gas. I don't know. I might use a little bit less gas. I don't know. It's working well though, so maybe I'll just leave it the way it is.